All right, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Leadership newspaper. The major story here says, 3 days to go. Cash crunch worsens. Banks defy CBN on 20,000 Naira over-the-counter payment. Mammoth crowd persists at ATMs. Kaduna, Kogi, Zamfara approach Supreme Court. You find all the details on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. We move now to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Banks shut branches as Naira scarcity crisis worsens nationwide. Branch managers lament new note supply shortage. Banks scant of cash deposit. You find all the details on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. To this Nigerian newspaper now, EFCC apprehends bank manager for hoarding 29 million Naira new notes. Court restrains CBN from extending deadline on use of old notes as Kaduna, Kogi, Zamfara drag federal government to Supreme Court over Naira deadline. And on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Naira swap court restrains Buhari CBN on February the 10th deadline. You find all the details on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Mike.
All right, I have the Vanguard newspaper here, and he's also focusing on the old notes. He said, don't extend February 10 deadline. Court tells federal government and the CBN. That's what the Vanguard has there, and that's a part of the story that we're following. Now let's move on to the Punch newspaper. The Punch is also on the new Naira. It said governors' parties begin legal battle over CBN deadline. El Rufai, Matawale, Yahaya Bello sue federal government, demand extension. And court backs parties, stop CBN Buhari from shifting deadline. All right, the EFCC nabs Abuja bank manager holding 29 million Naira new notes. Okay. It's really a battle in there. That's what you see on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Now, from there, let's go to the Nation newspaper. The Nation says governors ask Supreme Court to halt CBN's Naira swap deadline. Right? Governors ask Supreme Court to halt CBN's Naira deadline. That's what the Nation newspaper has. Now, let's move to the Blueprint newspaper. On the February 10 deadline on Naira swap, judge orders compliance. El Rufai, Bello, Matawale drag federal government to Supreme Court. Okay. Judge orders compliance. El Rufai, Bello, Matawale drag federal government to Supreme Court. All that you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. We can't stand and watch citizens go through this hell. State governors, or state governments rather, are saying this. EFCC nabs bank manager for hoarding 29 million Naira new notes. That's the Blueprint newspaper. Now let's go to First News. First News says old Naira notes, court restrains CBN Buhari from extending deadline. Court restrains CBN Buhari from extending deadline. That's what you see on the front page of the First News. From there, let's go to Daily Trust. Naira fuel crisis could hamper Nigerian elections. The World Bank is saying this. Kaduna, Zamfara, Kogi sue federal government, CBN as court stop extension. Okay, and then the 14 political parties threaten poll boycott if, right, their stand has been that they want this to go to the deadline to be sacrosanct. It shouldn't be changed. Buhari must act to douse the tension. All this you see on the front page of the Daily Trust. Now, Business Day is next. World Bank chiefs rush to Abuja over fears of Azura's $100 million default. World Bank chiefs rush to Abuja for over fears of Azura's $100 million default. That's what you see on the front page of Business Day. All right, and on the international scene, Saudi Gazette, killer quake. 1,700 people believed to have died after 2 earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria. It's really a troubling time for those countries. And if you see the visuals coming from there, it's really a sad one. It's really scary how buildings were collapsing in, subsuming people and so on. It's really a painful situation. Killer quake, 1,700 people believed to have died after 2 earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria. Veronica?
A really unfortunate incident
Really
there
sad
with
one. Really sad
the earthquake. But let's come back home now, Mike, and look at our own situation. Talking about the scarcity of the Naira, the Naira redesign, and all of it. There is a plethora of cases in court as it stands. There are some political parties who came together, about 4 of them, through a federal high court in the Federal Capital Territory, issuing a restraining order on the president and the CBN from extending the deadline from February the 10th. Recall that the president has said that we should give him some time. February the 10th, he will make a decision on whether to extend or not. And Nigerians are waiting on that. And then we now have some governors of Kogi State, Kaduna State, and Zamfara saying that the hardship is too much for their people. And they cannot sit and watch their people going through this hardship because they can't really, people are not buying and people cannot have cash. People don't have cash, to do the needful. And so they went to the Supreme Court, the apex court, to force the hand of the president and the CBN to extend, this policy. Either way, there's a back and forth as it stands leading up to the 10th, because we are already counting down. Is about 3 days from now. Which way it would go, our swing, we do not know. We'll still have to keep our fingers crossed. But as it is, there is a case on the ground.
Yeah, there is a case. If you look at the 2 parties who have gone to the court or who have gone to court to seek redress or seek interpretation or seek intervention, both of them are right from different perspectives. Now, the governor of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara State are speaking. They could be speaking on behalf of so many other governors as well, but they are the ones who have gone to court. Now, they are seeing it, their argument, they're seeing it from the perspective of what their people are going through. Now, if you go to the village, like I always make reference to my grandmother in the village, all these things that are happening she doesn't have an idea of what's going on. Hers is that the little money that her children send to her, she wants to go to the market and be able to spend it. But they're saying you cannot spend this money anymore from a certain date because the monies you have are old. All right, can my grandmother go to the bank herself? Of course, that's another different issue altogether. But the point there is that's just a metaphor to represent a lot of Nigerians, farmers, traders, people in the village, people in the hinterlands. What we see now, it is easier for those who are in the township, in the metropolis.
It's not even as easy.
It's not even as easy. But let us even say that you either have, on almost every street, there is a bank or there's a POS, there's any of these outlets that you can just go change this thing. It's not like that in the villages. It's the situation in the villages is totally a different situation. So the governors are seeing it from that perspective. If this deadline keeps, the point there is it's going to create more hardship for the people in the villages. That is what the governors are coming up with. If you see from that window, of course they are right, because they are talking about the people that they are governing. Now, if you flip the coin to the political parties, they are seeing it from the original issues that the CBN had fronted before. There are lots of monies in people's houses, in people's vaults, in people's pockets, in people's wallets, in people's homes. We want to bring this back in. Now, there is also the report of politicians stashing monies and to buy votes and all of that. So the political parties from their window to say, no, don't change this. Keep it this way, so that it doesn't give advantage to one political party or one candidate or 2 candidates, as the case may be. If you see from that perspective, of course, it holds water too. So the point there is, it behoves the courts to decide. Although the courts they have gone to are 2 different courts.
Yes.
They've gone to 2 different courts. Of course, you know that if the Supreme Court makes any pronouncement, it supersedes. It is final on all grounds. Nobody, the only person you can take anything to is God who is in heaven. And you know the way God does his own. God has told you that one day in your presence is like 1,000 years in my own place. And one day, so it's different. So on the day God will sit on the judgment to say, okay, let us do it this way. It could be 100 years from now. Who knows? So the point there is, it's actually a very confusing times for an average Nigerian watching all of these things going on right now. And a Nigerian will only visualize it. You know, the issue of courts, going to court and all of that, are left for those who are learned and those who are... An average Nigerian just wants to be able to...
Let me have money.
Let me have money. Yeah, transfer monies to my account, transfer to your account. I want to buy this, I'm able to buy it. I want to go here, I'm able to have it. I'm able to have monies for my everyday living. That's what an average Nigerian thinks. And that's what he is concerned with.
The truth is, if we extend, would it change anything?
What would it change?
Would Nigerians be able to access cash across the counter and at ATMs? That's on the one hand. If we do not extend, what would change now for Nigerians to be able to access cash over the counter at the ATMs? These are the critical issues.
Yes.
Because if nothing is changing within this period, why extend? Why not extend? So something has to change. Yes, we are seeing ICPC and others EFCC arresting some bank heads, you know, are saying that they are hoarding this redesigned notes. Who are they hoarding it for? That's another question. Who are they hoarding it for? Yes, because there are those who have said that they are complicit, they are working with some politicians who are their customers, who could give them a call and say, I need this amount and all of it. Those are allegations, right? But why are they hoarding these monies? What benefits are they making from hoarding these monies? Those are the issues Nigerians would like to understand. Yeah. Make monies available to Nigerians and let's move on with our lives. But at the end of the day, let's hope to see what happens within this period.
All right. Well, we wait to see how it goes. It's just that it's unfortunate that the banks that are supposed to help the CBN ensure that this policy works well, some of them are complicit. So it's really a sad situation.
All right.